Okay, so, take 2, operation day. We got up at 5 a.m., so it was kind of nice to be able to sleep in a little bit, from being so close. And when you go back to the office, when you go back to the hospital, you'd be going into the Elizabeth entrance, and they show you on a map. They gave us a map of where to go and everything, but it's the Elizabeth entrance, and it's very straightforward. You go in, you take the elevators up, and it's apparently just easier through that entrance. I guess that's like the main entrance for the donating area. Oh, my terminology is wonderful. So, anyways, so we go there, and you go into to sign in, and or the donor anyways, and they'll take the blue card and then your health card, and then they'll do all their paperwork at that end. You just sit down in the waiting room and you wait, and then they'll call your name and they'll put the hospital band on, the first hospital band. And there's 2, and I'll tell you why there's a second one for some people. Some may not, but and anyways, so you're in the waiting room and they'll call you and they put the band on and paperwork and everything, and then you're sent through doors, which again, the partner is allowed to go with them, and at this time you just wait for the nurse to call you, and then the donor will change into the nightgown. And in Daniel's case, because he was doing a liver donation, I believe it was a doctor or a nurse that went in to the change room with him. I didn't go in and change room with him. You just have to wait out there. But and the gentleman shaved the area that would be operated on. And then once he's changed and comes out, then you can go with him again into, I guess, where you lay on the bed and you wait for the nurses to come and hook you up to the IVs and everything. And yeah. Anyways, so I was able to be there with him during that, which was great. I think at that point, that's when it really started hitting me that, you know, I'm not gonna be with him. I can't be there with him, and that's hard on me because, like, obviously because I love him so much, and I think that would be for anybody, you know, whether you are just boyfriend, girlfriend, or fiance, husband and wife, or mother and daughter, etc. You know, crying already. I think it's hard for anybody knowing that it is a serious operation and that you can't be there. You know, you have to let them go, you know, and trust the doctors and the nurses and everything. And so that was when everything started kind of hitting me, and, you know, trying to sit there to be all strong for Daniel and not cry, and if I felt the tears coming on, just looking away and staring up or something so that they went away and everything. And so you wait there for a little bit, and then the nurse would come over and then kind of do the pre-assessment, I guess. I'm not too sure about the terminology used, but anyway, she came over and she would go through, Daniel had his own folder of all the information and everything, and made sure all the paperwork that was needed was signed and everything. So she comes over and took temperature and blood pressure, and talked about any of the I don't think they're called boots, but slippers, the slippers, which came up to his knee. Because he was in surgery for so long, they have to massage the donors, or the person being, you know, worked on legs, so there's no blood clots or anything, as they were discussing. Anyways, so that was that. And so once the nurse did her part, and she stuck around for a while, then we met the surgeon. And I didn't know he was a surgeon, because when I saw him, I thought, my goodness, you're so young. You always picture, I don't know, just not that young anyways, the surgeon, so it took me off guard a bit. And but obviously he did a good job, because Daniel's fine. But anyways, it did take me back a bit, but he was very kind, and again, spoke with Daniel, and went through everything that was going to happen, what to expect. So it was nice to meet him. I think that's really nice, is when you get to meet the team, or at least some of the team. So we got to meet him, and I forget the gentleman's name, but I'm sure, again, Daniel will pick up those pieces in his videos. And then, so after the surgeon, then there was a nurse, I guess, another nurse that was going to be on the team in the room with Daniel, came in and did the same thing, spoke about everything, if he was allergic to anything. And then that's where the other band came in. I'll let Daniel talk about what he was allergic to in his own video, but because he had a reaction, they had to just write it on a band and then put that around his wrist with his admission little hospital band too. So then the doctors know to look and think, oh, okay, so he's, you know, which is I think why they gave him the pills. I don't know. It's a lot of information to take in. Daniel's been reading about it apparently for a very long time, so for someone like me who's kind of was thrown into it quite fast, you know, it is a lot of information to take in. And to really grasp it and then keep it there, because I'm already thinking like, wow, the things they said, I don't even know what you're using big words like this, and I need little words like this to understand what you're going on about. But anyways, but you can always ask some questions, which is what I did, so they could carry on. Anyways, we're with, so the nurse came in, and then checked with Daniel. Another thing that I noticed that they did was they always would ask the same questions before going into the chart work and talking. They would ask, okay, can you spell your last name? What is your first name? And like they had to clarify everything to make sure that Daniel McCoy was Daniel McCoy, and that he was getting a liver, you know, a piece of his liver donated. So that happened several times, which is good. It's good to make sure that you're about to cut open the right person and then do the right operation. It's a good job. Anyways, so after that, after we met with one of the nurses, I guess the anesthesiologist came and put Daniel's first IV in. It was a different IV, and again I'll let Daniel describe that, but they had to put freezing, I think he said, in his hand first, because it was a really, really crazy IV. Like it wrapped like his hand, and it wrapped right back around and went in. I've never seen one like that, but the needle was like looked like a crazy big blood needle, like ones that to take blood out. Like, it was big. Yeah. So he came in and spoke to Daniel and spoke to me, asked both of us if we had any questions, and then that was that. And then at that point, you pretty much have to be quick in saying what you want to say before they go into the operation room, because it goes by pretty fast. He was taken at 8 o'clock, pretty much sharp, which is good. So it was a very quick goodbye, and that's when I broke down crying and couldn't hold it in anymore. So the nurse, another nurse, I think it was a male nurse, came. Yay, male nurses, it's nice to see you guys too. Yeah. And anyway, so they came, and that's when you pretty much have to say goodbye. And then you go up to the waiting room. Now, if you're in the Toronto General, that's the 3rd floor, and you take the Monk elevators to the 3rd floor, and then there's little signages to take you to the visitor waiting room. Well, not visitor, just the waiting room. Something like that. So you go in there, and there's these 2 people that are behind the desk, and you just have to tell them who you're with, so that when any nurse that comes out or any of the doctors, they know where you're sitting, and then they can direct the doctor or nurse to you and to the right person. So I told them that I was with Daniel McCoy, and they said, okay, where you would be sitting, and I showed them, and yada. Now, I was there, I guess just after 8, I would have gotten up there, and about 9:30, a nurse came out and told me that they just started, which was surprising, because I figured, oh, okay, he's in there and going strong, you know, kind of thing, and oh, we just started, psych, you know, kind of thing. So that was, it was interesting. I would assume there was a reason why, like if they had to do any extra testing or see if the, I think it was a diet or something, was going to be okay. Oh, another thing that I forgot, I'm sure Daniel will mention it, is that they gave him a needle, I forget the name of it, but it just helps to the blood cells so that it won't be any blood clots and things like that. So that's also when you're waiting before you go into the surgery room. Anyways, back to the waiting room. So the nurse came out at 9:30, and after that I didn't hear anything until 4:30. So it's a very, very, very long wait for the person, like for me, or anybody who would be in my situation, you know, the partner. And I would bring a book, or you're allowed your cell phone. There were plugs in there that you could use to charge anything, which was helpful. They were very kind in there, which was nice. And if you do leave, if you want to go and have a bite to eat or anything, you do have to let them know that you are leaving, so that if someone did come out and wanted to talk to you, they had your contact, you know, like a cell phone or something, that they could contact you to give you an update on, okay, the doctor came out or the nurse came out, and this is the update, this is what they told me to tell you. So make sure that if you do decide to leave, that you leave some form of contact that they can get to you. And then when you return, just let them know that you're back and where you're going to be sitting again, because you probably lost your seat, because it was quite busy in there. So just let them know where you're going to be, your new sitting arrangements will be, and that you have returned. Okay, so long day. I know probably to the person being out, because, you know, I'm sure many of you, myself, have experienced going to surgery. It feels to us, to the person who's being, you know, having the surgery on, it's like 2 seconds. It feels like you're out for like only 2 seconds, and it's like you sleep and you wake up and you're all like no time has passed. For the person, the partner who has to wait, you're just watching the clock. I found myself just staring at the clock sometimes. Just the first time in my life, I actually wanted time to speed up. Just, you know, you reach a certain point in your life, you're like, oh, slow down, you know. But I actually really was wanting it to speed up today. But I found myself doing that. So it's good to distract yourself. I forgot a book. I did some theory stuff and stuff, and piano things and stuff, but it's good to bring something that's going to distract you from just staring at the clock. So whether it's a book or an iPhone or a game or whatever have you that's going to help, definitely bring it. And like I said, if it's an electronic, there are plugs there. You kind of have to look for them, but there are some there, and I'm more than sure that the secretary there would be more than helpful to help you find, a plug and give you a seat if there's not one near it to make you comfortable. While I was sitting there, I updated as much as I could on Daniel's Facebook and also mine, because I wanted to make sure that, and I think he did too, because he asked me, all of his friends and family on his profile, that they were, he's pulling through. It was hard not to give proper updates, only because of seeing the nurse once at 9:30 just let me know that it was started, which is good, because I thought it already had, and it didn't. So it's good to know that it did start. So, so by 4:30, there was a new secretary there, and she finally called on my behalf to see what was going on, and so I could have an update or whatever. And at that point, they said he was still in surgery, or just about to finish, or whatever, but he was not wheeled into ICU yet. So after that phone call, she wrote everything out to me and said where he would be. Obviously, they didn't know a room number yet, but where he would be and where I'd go and etc. And she wrote it down for me, which is very nice. You know, what elevators to take and what time I should go up and stuff. Almost right after that, the doctor came out. He wasn't the surgeon, but I think he was part of it, like I guess they're a backup, or I would assume there might be 2 doctors on at the same time observing each other, and anyways, he came out and told me that he was done and was in ICU now. I guess ICU, I don't know, they're really, like, before it's the step down, they're really like when they just come out, and I had to wait another 2 hours before I could go see him. So at that point, you're not hearing anything, and you're worrying, and again, this is why it's good to get something distracting so you're not freaking out. Not that I was freaking out, but it would have been nice to have even at least 1 or 2 more updates from one of them. There are other people in there and they seem to be getting regular updates, and it would have been nice to have gotten that. Especially when it's a serious operation. You know, it's not exactly a day or night surgery, it's a week. He's gonna, almost a week he'll be here, right? So it would have been nice, I think, if they were able to send somebody, you know, whether it's a donation or any kind of surgery for that matter, that would require that kind of, you know, serious operation. But that's all I could have wished for at that point. Anyway, so another 2 hours, I was going to be able to see him. And so I wait. Even longer. Now, during this time, if you do wish to go out and eat, you're near Queen's Park, and there's also, I don't know the name of it, but nearby there's like Subway and like a little, I don't want to call it market, but like, I don't even know what to, like a food court kind of almost nearby, like right across, and just if you head towards Queen Park, cross at the lights, and then you just go down towards and inside the building. There's like a Tim Hortons, a Subway, Mantuoc, and then another one in there. If you wish to eat something other than what they have at the hospital. Now the hospital also has some very nice food selections, but sometimes it's just nice to go outside and get fresh air or whatever. So there's that if you wish. So 2 hours go by, and I go upstairs. Now you go up to the 10th floor. So the 3rd floor to the 10th floor. And now I didn't really understand. I knew where I was going and I got there fine. It was very straightforward, but what I didn't understand is that you actually had to, there was a phone there. If there was no nurse or anybody in there to take your information, who you're waiting for, you have to dial. There's a phone there, and then there's like a little information paper saying what, you know, whatever the person had, you know, where to dial and stuff, so you can kind of let them know that you're there waiting, and then they can let you know, or that a nurse will come and get you when your partner is ready to see you. So then there's a bit more waiting. So I was in the waiting room, the visitor's waiting room this time, and it wasn't busy at all, but again, this was like 7, so probably pretty quiet. I would assume visitors probably come more during the day, I guess, or earlier in the evening, I don't know. So the nurse came in and got me and said that, and explained that, you know, Daniel was awake, but he doesn't have much feeling in one of his arms and stuff, and but that everything else was fine and great. And then I signed in. You go in, and then the nurse shows you where you sign in, and you have to wear a little visitor's sticker. And I'd say that's where it was hard to, the hardest part is when you actually have to see them afterwards. Yeah, you just want to run up to them and hug them and kiss them, and you can't. He still had all his IVs in, and he was quite out of it. Like he was talking, but you could tell he was kind of going in and out of almost being aware that he was awake. So that was hard because, you know, you want to stay there. I wish I could have stayed longer. It's really hard to leave when you've been waiting for hours and you only get to see them for 10 minutes. That was really hard. But again, I tried to stay strong for him and not cry in front of him, as I normally do anyways with everybody. I'm not good with crying in front of people. And so I went in and he had his button to help with the pain that he had to administer on his own. And I'm sure he'll talk about that when he's able to do his updated video blog for you. So I didn't want to touch him or anything, and he did ask me to do a quick video of him, which you'll see of what he looked like and everything, and a picture. I think, again, it would be very hard for anybody, you know, even the recipient, you know, it's just a child as far as we were been informed. So I'm sure that family, you know, having to see your child, like how I saw Daniel, I couldn't imagine. But Daniel hopefully will remember me being there, but again, he was very tired, and like I said, coming in and out. They gave him little bits of ice to chew on, so because he was still there, he couldn't have fluids because he could possibly throw up still at that point, so they could only give him ice cubes to help relieve the dryness. His lips were very dry, and he still had dye all over him and everything. His cut was very big. He said that the pain was pretty bad, but again, he had the I think it was morphine that he would administer himself that he was using. I think for me, the hardest part, as I said earlier, was the fact that you want to stay there. Because like I said, you're waiting there from like, let's say 8 o'clock to 6:45 to see them. And then you only get to see them maybe 10 minutes if they're awake enough to really receive you. So that's very hard. And you can tell that they just want to sleep. And you can't hug them, you can't, you know, give them a kiss. You can't touch them really at all, because they're, you know, I couldn't, because he was just pain. So it's hard to just stand there and look at him and try to put on a brave smile and hold back the tears and say, oh, you know, like, how are you feeling, everything like that. But I probably expect that, you know, it's going to be a very quick visit after the operation. When you're able, like the first visit, sorry. It's going to be very, very quick. And it's going to be very, very hard. Because like I said, you're waiting all day and then it's just like maybe at most 15 minutes. Unfortunately, I was less. And I think he finally, as I was leaving, he fell back asleep, but the nurses seemed very nice and that they were going to be there to help him and make sure that he was okay and getting enough of the morphine into him to help with the pain and everything. And you know, you have to walk home. When you're leaving there, you're trying to, for someone like me, not cry. It's so hard to be strong and brave. But I knew I had to be. And if I could have my way, I would have stayed the whole week with him, so I could see him every day. That's kind of hard too, having to leave and then. But I think that's really all I can say from the partner's point of view in all this. Apart from everything being very you know, everything's time, and you have to be patient because it's quite a process, and you're meeting with a lot of people. I wasn't there for most of it, so I've only come into this really only after he's done more of like the meeting with a psychiatrist and everything, etc. So I can't really comment on that experience from a partner's point of view, unfortunately. But I hope that the child's surgery was successful as well.